Okay, hello everyone. We're going to be getting started with our final Omni Live of the year. Today we have Jamie Davidson, Omni co-founder, diving into some of our key product launches from the year, sharing the strategy and use cases behind some of the features that our engineering team has shipped this year. We also have a special guest who you will probably recognize if you've been watching our weekly engineering demos. But before we get started, I do want to share a couple housekeeping items. We are recording, so you can access this later right here on our LinkedIn page if you need to jump early or if you want to come back or share it with a colleague. Additionally, we're going to be monitoring the comments for questions, so feel free to add those to the chat below. And now we're going to get started. Over to you, Jamie.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tam. And thanks so much everyone too for joining me. I'm super excited for this last Omni Live of the year. We've had an amazing year. 2024 has been incredible. I've been in data for a really long time. And I feel like I've not had many opportunities to talk about nearly the breadth of content that we'll go through today. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about highlights from what we did this year too. We get to bring in someone to give a great demo of some of the I think some of the most exciting functionality, and then also give you a little bit of a teaser for what's coming next. So at Omni, our goal is to build a data tool for all of your users, regardless of technical sophistication, for all of their data use cases, and that requires us to balance investment in fundamentals of BI, so things like visualizations and ease of use and performance and permissions and all of the things that you expect, with also pushing the bounds of what's possible and making it easy to open up completely new workflows or completely new interaction paradigms to simplify and make it dramatically easier to access data, to ask questions of data, and ultimately drive insight from it too. And we were busy. We did this, kind of across the board, and very much embraced one of our core values of shipping it. Here's a super condensed view. I'm going to talk about some of this stuff in more detail in just a moment too, but a condensed view of sort of broad buckets about what we've invested in. We're super excited about, generative AI and the ability to remove a lot of friction from the end process. We're excited about really rethinking how analysis can be done with, accelerators and giving you more granular control over behaviors in the experience. We've invested a ton in our embedded product. All of the work we do inside our BI tool benefits the embed customer. We've also got a bunch of functionality that's really focused for folks building out data applications on top of our platform too, enabling your customers to interact with your data, making it easy, driving value from that too. Underneath it all, we've got a foundation that's rigorous and governed, and we have valuable development workflows that we're going to continue to invest in. And a giant theme throughout always is how do we make it as beautiful and as easy to do sort of over time. So let's get into it. For the first theme, we're going to dive in and talk about how people analyze data. We are a data platform, first and foremost. Two, we want to enable everyone in an organization, regardless of how technical they are, to interact with and do more with their data. Generative AI is without a doubt the hottest topic of this year, and definitely very applicable in data products. Everyone in the industry is asking about it. Everyone's excited about how it can remove friction, and the functionality seems to be truly step function. Step function in terms of what's possible and ease of use. We think it's incredibly valuable, but there's also a bunch of limitations we need to think through too. LLMs are prone to hallucination. They're very much non-deterministic. It requires nuance and context inside your organization to be able to actually understand what the data actually means too. And so as we developed our sort of generative AI functionality inside our product, we wanted to thoughtfully integrate it into the interface so that it's interpretable by everyone in the organization, regardless of they're able to read SQL or not. They can actually understand what the results they're seeing get. And it's built on top of the foundation of our semantic model too. We think of this as a common vocabulary for users and for AI and LLMs to be able to go and access data, think about it as constraining the input space and constraining the output space that's possible for analysis too. And we're super excited about it. It's been something that a bunch of customers have really found incredible value from. We think it dramatically lowers the sort of the bar for asking questions and making it even easier to interpret data. With that, I'd love to bring on Richard Chkowski, one of our engineers too, who is the lead of a really cool project in one of the AI use cases we developed today. Hey, Richard, thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, thanks for having me on.
So, Richard, we shipped Calcs, about a year ago. It's been an incredible hit with customers. It's been an incredible hit, internally. I used to live inside IDEs and models. Now I find myself, even for our internal use cases, never using it. Tell us, how did we get started? How did this happen?
Well, okay, so like I read a quote a while back that was like all BI leads to Excel. And I've seen a lot of proof of that. I feel like when we've like looked at customer studies, looked at what people are doing with their current tools or whatever, like there's always somebody who's like pulling that data out into Excel, and just to like munge it or maybe to operate in an environment they're more comfortable with. And like I don't, that's not ideal. You end up with like data proliferation. You kind of detach from your source of truth. Like there's quite a few problems with it, but it's also like it does things you can't do otherwise. So, in that respect, it's fine. But it tells us like a couple of things. One, it tells us that there are gaps in BI tools. And also like it kind of tells us that people are comfortable with Excel. So, the syntax is really nice. And it doesn't hurt that our CEO Colin is like the world's biggest Excel fan. The man loves sheet talking, and he gets like way too excited about Excel. Like anytime he can, get a chance to like do something in Omni that Excel does well, like he just gets super excited. So he's our kind of a main advocate and guinea pig for that kind of stuff, which is cool.
Yeah.
And from like a technical standpoint,
Yeah.
you gotta do something, right? Like we needed calcs. So like, what are you going to use? And I think it makes more sense to like work on parity and not reinvent the wheel. And it feels really obvious now that we've done that, but it also is a little crazy that some other tools don't. And so like obviously maybe it's not like the most obvious answer.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think that's exactly right too. And parity, I remember even when we were starting too, it sounds easy, but like is wildly more complex actually than even the product say. What were some of the harder things to do? What were some of the curveballs that you guys hit as you were building this out?
um you know I, I think the maybe the main curveball is the fact that Omni, it's columnar data. It's not like Excel where it's sort of like free form and it's all cell and row. It's like cellular based basically. And the columnar thing's not that hard because you can just be like, oh, well, the calculation will run on every column. But then we throw pivots into the mix.
Yeah.
And now we have these pivoted columns, and you want the behavior to be the same whether you have a pivot in your data set or not. Excel has pivot tables, but they're not really the same as like an Omni pivot, and also like it does change the calc behavior in Excel. So from like a certain standpoint, we're in uncharted territory there. But fortunately, like Excel has this function called offset, which allows you to sort of with row and column, like choose some offset from your current position. And so we were able to expand that into pivot offset, which kind of takes in the columns and rows, but also we're doing a little bit of magic behind the scenes to sort of pretend that those pivot columns are like separate columns entirely. So fair amount of work. I didn't do all of it. A lot of that credit goes to Stephen, but it's just great stuff. And it was definitely like one of the more difficult challenges. And from like a UX standpoint, it feels pretty comparable, whether you have a pivot or not.
Yeah, definitely. It's like it's well integrated in the end experience. I totally agree too. I'm curious. Do you have a favorite function? We've got parity with like I don't know 150 plus functions of that. What's your favorite?
Favorite function? Yeah, I really like. Okay, so I really like XLOOKUP. A lot of the credit for XLOOKUP goes to Kathy, another engineer. She did a great job, and I think there's also something to be said for like I didn't build it, so like I don't, when you build something, a little bit of the magic goes away. But when you get like just get handed something and you're like, oh, like this is incredible. It's been the source of a lot of X gonna give it to you jokes. And it's an amazing tool in the quiver. Like for those who don't know what it does, it like in one query, you can basically specify like if this value exists in this other sheet, give me some other value in relation to that. So it's almost like an on the fly join. And I saw something the other day, I think Kathy actually posted it, and it was like, if you want to get a promotion at work, just like learn a few Excel functions and people will think you're a magician. And specifically, they were like, learn XLOOKUP, because like people will be like, wow, that's incredible. And the first time I saw it in the product, I was like, yeah, no, it is incredible. And I look forward to the day that like someone's like, yeah, I got a promotion at work because like I knew how to use XLOOKUP in Omni or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. I absolutely love it too. But bringing this back to, AI, tell us, how did Calx AI start?
Calx AI is interesting because like, well, okay, like, I mean, AI in general is interesting because like, it has, you mentioned sort of like a reliability issue. It hallucinates a little bit. I use Copilot on the daily, and I've had it do all kinds of crazy stuff. Like I'll be writing some code and like open up to make some comment, and it'll just be like, oh, fix this. And I was like, well, I don't need to fix this. My code's fine. And maybe it's commenting on the quality of my code, but I think it's just like one of the most common things people write. And so it's just like, here you go. And because I'm writing more novel code, maybe it doesn't know how to interpret it. So ultimately, if it operates really well when there's like known questions and known answers and maybe like expansive documentation. And so Excel's really old. Maybe I shouldn't say really. Okay. Excel and I are roughly the same age. So maybe, but I mean, it predates like the popularity of the internet. Like it's been around for so long that it's extraordinarily well documented. Every question that could like almost be asked has been asked, and people have written articles on it. And so there's just that wealth of information, and that makes AI really reliable. And that kind of fits our way of thinking too, because if it, with like Calx AI, if it gives you something like a formula, I can just go online and check and kind of see what that thing does, even if I might not have been able to write it myself. Like I can double check it, which is really nice.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it too. Well, thank you so much. That's awesome too. Well, with that, do you want to take it away and show us a little bit?
Yeah, let me do a demo. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to show is it's like a somewhat more like pedestrian operational use case, but it's still nice because like if you're not super familiar with writing Excel calcs, oops, I'm gonna add a regular column, but say like extract domain from email, um, instead of having to go look up how to do this, I can just type that in and I got a pretty quick answer. And I can, this one's nice because I can manually verify that this is correct. So I can see AOL, Gmail, etc. So I'm like, I don't actually have to know how to write this. I probably could have, could have gone online and Googled it, but it wrote it. Looks like it works, and that's great. But to just sort of take it a step further to show sort of, how quickly you can sort of iterate with this. If I want, I could promote this up to the workbook, and then it becomes a real field. We've now replaced the calc with like a real field, which means I can just remove the original one altogether and get this sort of like aggregation of the domains and the user count. And maybe I want to investigate why AOL is so highly represented, considering that maybe we had an ad campaign on the back of a CD or something. Okay, so another example that's maybe a little bit more fun, and maybe a little harder to write too. So if I was to say, like, give me the population for all 50 states, and I'm going to specify using an ifs here because sometimes it helps to give it a little hint as to what you need. Then I'm going to give it a sec to crunch that. And here we go, population of all 50 states. I can see it's missing District of Columbia. If I want to, I could actually, let's see, population of DC. Okay, cool. I could actually go edit this, and I can see that it wrote this giant if statement where it looked up the population for each state and shoved it in there. And like, if I want to, I could actually just like add, actually, let's go get the what is the exact writing here? Copy the value out. That way I won't mess up the spelling. So now I've added in District of Columbia, ooh, comma. Cool. So that should, it didn't work. Didn't love me. Demo gods are not with me today. Anyway, we'll forget about District of Columbia right now. But I can then like keep working on this and say like, all right, I've got my population, I've got users count, and I want to do sort of like a market penetration. So I can throw a new column in to the right, and I want to do my users count over the population. So write my own one this time. And the number's kind of small, so I'm going to need a percent here. There we go. So now I've got like my market penetration, and I can go throw that on a map, region map. Let's see, and I want the states. I want to say state name, pull the states up, and then market penetration. So now I've got my market penetration all mapped out, and I can see that like maybe in the South and the East Coast, I'm not doing as well. Alaska, don't know why I'm not succeeding there. California doing well. They have a great population and I have great market penetration. So like it's a very like quick, fast, fun analysis. With that, I will pass it back to you, Jamie.
I love that. That's awesome. And I think that I don't know, one of the most fun things about AI demos too is how the non-determinism keeps you on your toes always. That's awesome.
I'm pretty sure I just mistyped something. It wasn't even the AI.
No worries at all. I've definitely been there.
Right.
Well, sweet. Well, that was incredible, and I think honestly too showcases to how thoughtfully integrating AI into the experience to making it human interpretable, like Excel, because we have parity with the Excel functions too. It's easy to actually understand what it's doing, and so you can go and augment it and see it too, and you can do really pretty magical things. I know that looking up all 50 states would have been painful. So thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. So continuing along these veins too, we're razor focused on making analysis incredibly easy, and so we've shipped a bunch of stuff. Richard talked about XLOOKUP already, which I agree is incredible. We've got cross-tab cell references too, like Excel, where you can have relative references across tabs too, without even join keys, which is incredible. We've got powerful the ability to reference queries in other queries. So things like filter by query. So find a list of top users and filter user activity by those top users and see what they're doing, or period over period analysis, something that's incredibly difficult to do in a ton of different tools. It's hard to do in SQL. It's hard to do, with post processing. We've made incredibly easy to both use sort of standard periods and sort of dynamic fields as well. Last thing is a bit of a pet project that sort of allows some dynamicism in your queries as well. Your ability to sort of swap out fields and swap out timeframes, pick granularities, make it really easy and make dynamic sort of analysis in a curated way. So we're super excited about that. It's not just enough to make analysis easy though. You got to bring it to the users where they are, and so that's functions like email delivery or Slack delivery or conditional alerts that trigger only when data changes or when various thresholds change. It's things like email bursting and using parameterized user attributes to be able to go say deliver this customer lookup dashboard for my customers, as the CSM that owns these customers too, and parameterize it to me. It's stuff that we're super excited about. In the next vein, we talk a little bit about how users interact with data. We also want to talk about how you develop this and sort of build out workflows. So this is things like tightly integrating with your data engineering workflows. So that's your data warehouse and your ETL process, so that making changes in ETL can basically propagate all the way through to your dashboards. This is augmenting how content is actually edited. So we were recently rolling out a draft and publish mode too. That basically lets you have a lot more control over how to edit things collaboratively in a sort of in a multi-user kind of a way that is super easy, but then also controlled too for sort of broader publishing. We've been pushing our APIs forward. We've got folks using our query APIs for things like more advanced and not using the semantic model and sort of the common definitions that are shared across your organization in other workflows too. So using our Python SDK to go and do things like forecasting or classification or other sort of more advanced data science use cases too, or our model editing workflows to be able to augment our model, in a programmatic way. So automate model generation or model migration, in a simple way too, which is super exciting. We also are incredibly excited about DBT and have what we think of as the truly industry leading integration with DBT. We want to facilitate modeling workflow. Really at the core of Omni, we want to make it so that it's incredibly easy to find transformational logic in lightweight ephemeral ways inside our workbooks, and basically put that logic in the right spot. So to the extent that you want to share it with the organization, you can promote it and add it to our shared model. To the extent that you want to standardize it in the data warehouse, where the table inside the data warehouse is the interface, and you want to, for cost performance reasons or for integration with other workflows and tools, want to materialize that direct in data warehouse, we've got a direct integration with DBT and allow you to take the transformation logic in Omni, write DBT SQL directly, create a new view inside your DBT model. We'll create that pull request inside your Git repo too, and basically facilitate sort of that whole process, which we're really excited about. On the third dimension, I'm going to talk a little bit about our embed product. And this is something that's absolutely core. We started the company from day zero thinking about embed. All of the work we've already talked about, all the calcs work gets benefited there, all the AI work gets benefited here too. Everything we do in BI is brought into sort of the embed context. And there's some stuff that we've done really custom to embed as well. And I'll talk a little bit about that. And it's really along the lines of how do we facilitate our customers to present their data to their customers in the simplest way too, and give them the ability to answer questions that they might have. So building the best, easiest, fastest kind of data product. We recently launched the ability to do self-serve analytics for your customers. So, how frequently do you generate a PDF, send it to your customer, and they ask, oh, hey, what if I filtered this way? Or what if I parameterize it this way? I want to look at it in this region, or for these products, or for this warehouse, or for whatever it might be, sort of a slight tweak on the core analysis that you built, sort of the 80% is covered by the dashboard. How do I go in and create a little bit more dynamicism? The self-serve analytics allows you to do it, and it basically brings the entire power of a full BI platform into the context where it's sort of a curated experience for your end users. And this is our create mode inside our embed product too, to give your customers, maybe it's a premier tier inside your SaaS application. They want to be able to go and ask some questions. Maybe it's something that's absolutely core to a monetize the data product as well, where you've got data assets that you want to go and help your customers find value from and understanding. We also have, taken the same sort of approach that we have with data delivery for our BI product into the embed context as well. So this is allowing users to set alerts, to allowing users to set schedules too in embed contexts, because it's not just about the insights; it's about the workflows ultimately they're driving, and the workflows can be truly data driven. Bringing it all together, we've done a ton on end user experience. We've done a ton on our sort of our platform and development workflows. We've done a lot for our embed context too. There's also a foundation and a platform that we sort of focus on, and there's things like usage analytics, where we want to basically make incredibly easy for you to actually interpret how people are using either the BI platform or your embed product, and the data product place allow you to product manage it and understand how usage is being engaged on your embed dashboards and content. in that instance too, this is actually an example of where we actually are very literally using our own embed product inside our BI application to showcase that user analytics too, is a means to sort of dog food and accelerate our own development, which is really exciting. We've also spent a bunch of time building sort of foundational functionality like aggregate awareness. And this aggregate awareness lets you leverage pre-existing pre-aggregated, pre-cleaned data set, perhaps, driven by, whatever ETL tool you might have, like dbt or any other process too, and basically lets you dynamically optimize your queries so that with guaranteed sort of accuracy for data too, for speed and honestly cost as well too, where you're pre-aggregating things in a simple way. We've also done a bunch of things like instance-wide level, dashboard theming and global color palettes. And we want to make it as easy as possible for you to create a custom experience and manage it too for your end users. We did a ton in 2024. Honestly, I'm even more excited for what's coming too. And maybe just a note, Tam mentioned that we, you probably know Richard from his many amazing demos, the sort of the mic drop moments too. We develop in public. Every Friday, the engineering team and our whole company comes together and it sort of will demo prototypes and features that have been shipped and functionality that we're working on too. And you can actually see the internal commentary. You can see us literally working through the process, of development so that you can see where we're going, and we think our trajectory is incredible. We think that's one of the most important parts for it too. We love demoing in public, and actually this first one was a demo that Richard recently did too, that probably got the most commentary of any of our demos too. So it's something we're super excited about. But please follow along if you want to see where we're going. When we built the Calc experience, it was immediately obvious to us that this is the right paradigm. It's incredibly intuitive, and we sort of have a thoughtful integration where we can actually build things like modeled constructs for the transformational logic inside the calcs that we've got. We could leverage the AI functionality too. But once you have a little bit of Excel in the BI experience, you want more. And we've had customers, they immediately sort of say, oh, well, I want it to behave a little bit more like Excel. I want to be able to have more control over formatting. I want to have more control over various different data sources. I want to basically intersperse data in ways that BI and single queries or sort of tabular visualizations don't allow for, that is supernatural to Excel. So we are really excited about pushing the envelope even further and embracing even more of Excel. So giving you much more granular controls over formatting. We think of it as a viz type. We want to thoughtfully integrate it into the experience so that there's sort of control and permissions and governance associated with it. But we're really excited about this direction. We also are excited about continuing to push forward what workflows are possible inside BI. And there's, the sort of classic paradigm has been tabular data where the workflow is primarily around drilling into detail or filtering existing data sets. And so drilling into detail, of course we've got filtering, of course we've got too. We want to go even further, and we actually see our customers in our data platform building embedded experiences for their customers, actually pushing the envelope here already, where they're creating workflows for their end users. They're creating direct action from the data so that you can derive insight and change things inside their platforms in such a way that we want to facilitate and make it even easier for folks, both in the internal BI context and embed, to do it. So in this case, this example, maybe instead of drilling to detail on a specific, metric here, maybe you can select a record and actually maybe the interaction is popping up a modal, but popping up a modal that's a little bit more contextualized, where it's richer. It's closer to a customer 360 dashboard inside this modal than it is like a list of maybe the underlying orders that this specific user did. We're super excited about making these easy interactions, making it intuitive to build too, but giving you more programmatic control over the end user experience, letting you curate it. We are also, I think you probably heard, from sort of the work we've done already this year, incredibly excited about Gen AI. I think we're barely scratching the surface here. we want to thoughtfully integrate it into effectively almost every interface in our application, and that's things like our SQL editor. It's things like our model IDE. It's things like smart summaries of data in visualizations, or smart summaries powering our alerts and applications. It's something that we are going to continue to push forward as we develop. We're super excited about removing friction from really every part, from the most technical to the least technical users on top of Omni, but basically helping them interact with data in easier ways, and dramatically making the experience simpler. With that, we covered a lot. We've got a lot to come too. I want to thank Richard so much for joining me, and for an amazing demo, and honestly amazing functionality, even more importantly. And want to thank you all for joining me as well, for your time too. And I guess maybe we'll open it up for some questions. I'll stop sharing, and if there are any questions, let's see.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. So we did have a question come in that I wanted to share with you. So Veronica, hi, Veronica, thanks so much for joining us. She wanted to know a little bit more about alerts. What do we mean by alerts, and how does that work?
Yeah, so alerts. So schedules are basically like, on a periodic basis, we can send data to a variety of, and send data in various formats. So like send, say, for example, a PDF to an email. An alert is basically using data conditionally to trigger those. So it's not just on a scheduled basis, but it's instead, if this data has changed, if this data is significantly different, that sort of thing. So using data to drive workflows as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Jamie. I think that was the only question that came in live. But again, as a reminder, if you want to reach out to us, you can DM us on LinkedIn. If you're connected to us on Slack, you can reach out, or you can just reach out on omni.co if you have any questions. A massive thank you to everyone who joined us. Thank you to Jamie. Thank you to Richard. Thank you to our entire product and engineering team for giving us so much to share. We had to cut a lot to try to fit this within the time frame. But as a reminder, you can also check out the blog that we just published from Ariel for a longer but still not complete list of everything that the engineering team launched this year. And then also, to double down on what Jamie said, thank you so much to our customers for a stellar year, for choosing us, and for putting all of these features to such great use. As a reminder, you can come right back here to our LinkedIn page to catch this recording, or go back to anything that you may have missed or want to recheck. Just thank you all again, and we're excited to see you next year.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Tam.